What's up, everyone? All right, well, here we are Thursday morning and locking up a green day. This is nice because, last week was pretty choppy. And in fact, a week ago, last Thursday, I had a nice green day. I was up $5,000. And then what did I do? I came back for power hour and I gave it all back. I spiraled. In a matter of like 5 trades, I went from up 5 grand to down 7,500. So as I sit here right now, we're gonna look at the P&L. I'm up $7,517.75, trading 3 stocks, green on all 3, although one of them is just a tiny winner of $25, but that's okay. Now that happened to be my first trade of the day. One thing that I'll say is that this week, the profits are certainly very different than they were last week. Did the strategy change? Not really. What changed was my decision over the weekend after the losses on Thursday and Friday to put on some guardrails and go back to the basics, essentially to rein myself in because I felt like I was just taking too much risk on the edges of my comfort zone, trading setups and at times of days that are a little bit more dicey. And so by reining it into the setups and the time of day that I usually trade the best, the profits have followed. And so I'm really pleased with that. All right, so these are the 3 stocks I've traded: KTTA, SPAI, and TBIO. Now we'll start with TBIO, even though it's the smallest winner. We'll start with that one because this one had news after hours, and that after hours news is what sent it squeezing up over 100%. So this was actually up over 100% after hours, and really a pretty awesome move. And this is the thing that I have to say is this is what was tempting me to be trading after hours last week. We were seeing some of these moves and I was like, man, I keep missing them. I want to jump in. So what was happening was I was getting FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that was leading me to trade during a time of day that's typically a little bit riskier. But look, if I had traded this yesterday, would I have made money? I'd like to say certainly. But there were some days last week, even on Thursday, where I traded stocks that were moving up after hours and I managed to buy into extensions like up here looking for a breakout, get stopped out, then kind of get back in, then get stopped out again, then get back in and get stopped out a third time, which is really sloppy trading. But, that did happen a few times last week. So even though it looks like it would have been impossible to lose money on this, I don't want to say anything's impossible especially if you're trading and you're a little bit emotionally compromised, which can happen. So anyways, this pops up after hours from 240 up to 420, pulls back, dips down, rips here up to 580. So I know some of you guys were commenting on how you traded it after hours and got some nice wins. So congratulations on that. That's always fantastic and great to see. But as I said, nothing for me. Yesterday, walked away with discipline and said, I'm not overstaying my welcome. I know when to leave. And that was that. But anyways, so this ends up going into 8 p.m., kind of sideways down here. And then 4 a.m. pre-market, what happens? It pops up. So you get a 4 a.m. pop right here, pretty much just opens and squeezes right up to 580. The problem was this was sort of approaching the double top, really resistance, right? 579 right here, 580 over here. So we kind of come right into this level and it's like, yeah, all right, double top. So when I pulled up scans this morning, even though I saw people commenting on my YouTube, on the YouTube channel last night, hey, did you trade TBIO? Did you trade TBIO? I didn't look at it. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to look at it because if I look at it, and I see that it made a huge move, I'm going to get really annoyed. And I'm going to be like, gosh darn it, I missed it and da-da-da-da. So I was like, don't even look. So I didn't. But this morning at around 6:45, I came over to my office here and I was like, all right, TBIO, what are we working with? And I identified pretty quickly the double top, that it was now trading below VWAP. And I was watching it right in here, and I honestly didn't think it was going to do much. I didn't take that break of 5, even though it went to 540. I did buy this dip here and only made $25 on it. So I got in and then basically got right back out. And that was my first trade of the day. The thing with TBIO is that it definitely has a lower float, but it does have the 200 EMA of resistance up here at around 725. A little bit of resistance there, maybe around 6. I mean, it's not a bad chart. It really isn't, but it just didn't quite have the strength this morning to continue that momentum. Now, one thing that was interesting about TBIO is that if we actually look at the recent filings, you'll see, let's see, we'll go back a couple of days. Notification of removal from the listing of registration. So they're actually delisting the stock. It's getting removed from NASDAQ, and they're going to go to the OTC market. So, you know, they weren't in compliance because of minimum price, and then they just decided to move to OTC, even though currently they are in compliance based on price. But nonetheless, they're moving to the OTC market as of September 30th. So they really only have a few more days of trading on NASDAQ. But then they put out this news headline, you know, as you can see right here, and it obviously pops up. Hey, girl, that's enough. So anyway, so that's TBIO. So got the one trade on it, and then that was it. So that pulls back, and that was at right 7 a.m. top of the hour. So then I took my next trade at about 7:15 on KTTA. Now, KTTA, this was really interesting. The stock is currently up 89%, which is a great move. But what's interesting about this is that when it first popped up, look at this. It pops up here from 460 all the way up to 680, and then comes all the way back down. Round trip. So I was like, this one's no good. And then it curls back up right here. And as it starts to curl back up, I'm like, all right, this is interesting. So I actually got in right here at 550. I got in at 550 for the break of the $0.50 and the break of what? Volume weighted average price. And pretty much immediately it goes up to 560, 575, 580 and grinds up towards 6. Now this stock is easy to borrow. You could see it on the level 2 window with the E. It's easy to borrow, which means anyone can short it. You don't have to reserve shares. It's free. In fact, there are so many shares available to borrow, it's easy to borrow and free to borrow. So that made me a little nervous because I thought, wow, there's going to be a lot of people probably shorting it because it's free. You won't pay any borrowing fees. So anyways, I got a couple trades on it here, made about $2,800. Not bad. Breaking the ice, getting green. Pulls back, pushes higher. Another trade right there on that dip for the move up to here. So now I'm up 3,500, 3,800. Pulls back, and then right here, this nice break through 644 right there. That got me up to where I'm at now on it, which is about 5,700. It ends up grinding a little bit higher, and I traded it up in these areas just with smaller size because I felt like the risk was getting high. But honestly, the dips kept getting bought up on this. And so I was watching for dips and buying little flushes, small breakout, buying the next little flush, small breakout, buying the next little flush, small breakout. So I just kept actively trading it. But then at the open, look what we got. Jackknife, jackknife, jackknife. Right here, right here, right here. High volume red candles. So the fun on this pretty much ended. I mean, well, I guess it was sort of like right here. But anyway, so I traded it the best I could, locked up some pretty good profit on it. Didn't take big size until first I was up over $1,000 with 5,000 share positions. Then from that point forward, I started taking 7,500, 10,000, 12,000 share positions. I had a couple that were a little heavier. And then of course I had dips that were a little bit lighter, but I got some nice trades on KTTA. So that ended up being today's biggest winner. I see it kind of curling up here. It might give more opportunities, but I'm just sort of in this mindset right now that I got to pay myself and not overstay my welcome. And actually, for what it's worth, I gave back 500 at the open. So I was up 8,000, and at the open, I took a trade somewhere around 750, and I gave back 500. So it's no big deal, but you know, it is what it is. So anyway, so now these are my last few days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And now plus today, that makes this a pretty decent week. So we'll pull up the calendar here for September. We're coming to the end of the month, so not a lot of time left. So this is going to put me up about 27,000 on the week. It's 26,000. So that's a great week. In fact, it's the best week of the month. And I don't even have to trade tomorrow. I could take the day off and it would be the best week of the month. Now I will show up tomorrow. And my hope tomorrow is that we get a couple breaking news opportunities like what we got on KTTA. And that'll give me some trades. But being the end of the week, companies are more inclined to put out good news early in the week, so we may not see as much. Now, SPAI is really interesting. This one I got a trade on as well. You can see I'm up 1,700 on it. Initially, same as KTTA, it pops up, sells off, curls back up, and I almost got in as it was curling here, but I was like, nah, I don't know. I'm not sure. The spreads were a little big. It hits 340, then it drops to 312, goes back to 340, drops to about 3, comes back up here, and right here on this candle, this green candle, it starts to pull away. And as it broke 340, I was like, all right, here we go, game time. So I jumped in it at 350, and I added at 368, and what was it? I added a little higher on this. It was like 350, 359, 368, and 397. And in this candle, all of a sudden it pops up to a high of 418. So we got a 50-cent squeeze right there on that little flat top breakout, which was really nice. So now it's hitting the scanners, it's squeezing up, and I'm adding into the move, and I'm thinking, is this gonna push higher? And then it kind of stalls out, and when it starts to drop, I was like, I better get out. So I got out, locked up $1,700 of profit, and it comes all the way back down to here. High volume red candles. So I was like, ugh, that was kind of a drag. Now, off of this level, it seems like it sort of has support. And at the open, it rallies up again, and then another massive flush. So I didn't take the second rally back up because this candle, to me, I was just like, I can't trust it. But it's interesting that it came back up. You know, unfortunately, though, the price action today, sort of across the board, has been somewhat choppy. TBIO, this one squeezed up for a second at the open and then also did a jackknife. So for whatever reason, it's just been a little choppier. Now, last week there was some great action after the open. We had GLMD. That was the stock that made that just phenomenal move. I'll switch to the 5-minute chart on this. So this one just was on fire. I mean, we had a boring pre-market session. It was up at right here, squeezes up, then it sells off. And then at the open, this thing goes from $5 to 20-something dollars a share. It's like unbelievable. And then PRTG, this was another one from last week that made just a massive move. Now, I guess this one maybe was a little bit more pre-market. No, it was both. It was definitely both now that I look at the chart. So it squeezed pre-market early and then sold off, and then at the open makes another move. So we've been seeing some nice action during the day. RSLS, this one the day before yesterday, had a nice squeeze during the morning. It goes from $6 to $12, right? So we've been seeing some action, but unfortunately, I've had to sort of stay on the sidelines. And that's one of the things I mentioned in an episode last week. You know, that loss that I took on Thursday, it cost me the amount of money I lost on Thursday, but it also has cost me more because it's forced me to be on defense. And when you're on defense, you're not going to be as aggressive. You're not going to take as many trades. And so some of those trades that you would have taken might have ended up being great winners, right? So the reason I had to rein myself in was really because I had a lack of discipline. I got sloppy. I took unnecessary losses. And then I was like, I'm spiraling. I can't keep doing this. So I need to put some tight restrictions on my account. But those tight restrictions, while I've been doing well this week, I've also missed out on opportunities I would have ordinarily been trading because I would trade longer into the day, or I would trade bigger size, or I'd be just trading a sort of larger variety of stocks. So the loss is sort of twofold. It's the initial loss, and then you've got the sort of future losses that come from being in a more reined in state. And then there's also, not to mention, the loss of confidence, which by itself can create these habits where you start second guessing yourself, you start hesitating and then missing opportunities. And it just, all of a sudden you're out of center. You're not on your game. And it's incredible what a difference confidence in yourself makes when it comes to trading. And I think that's one of the reasons, you know, when you have people that are really scared and fearful, afraid of losing money and just really nervous, they don't trade well because they're just so timid. They jump in, they jump out, they jump in, they jump out. And that's how I was when I got started, because I came from a place where I didn't have a lot of money, and every penny I made in the market I needed to keep. And sometimes it felt like people that came into the market that had a lot of money were the ones who made the most because the relationship they had with the money. They weren't trading from a place of fear. They were able to trade just with confidence, and it's like focus on the charts. And I was always envious of that. So then the question is, if you're in a place where you do have that money scarcity and you have that mindset, how do you fake it till you make it? And I mean, I think the best way is to practice in a simulator where you're not even putting real money on the line. And then when you transition from simulator to real money, you're doing it with such small share sizes that you effectively can trade as if money doesn't matter. And you condition yourself to focus just on the setups. And even though you're only trading with like 10 shares, you're building a track record. And there's an incredible sense of confidence in building a track record, because then all of a sudden you pull up your metrics, use software like this or whatever you're using. You pull up your metrics and you start analyzing them. And, we'll just look at this month, for instance. But you get dialed in, you're like, wow, am I profitable? Yeah, I'm green, right? What's my accuracy? All right, 60%. What's my profit loss ratio? Okay, that's what it is. My average hold times. And you're like, all I have to do is keep trading. This was 677 trades. If I take another 677 trades, I can project that I'll probably make another $63,000. Okay, so maybe you move the decimal point because you're trading with small size. Let's say you did all of this, but you're only up $63. Does that really matter? Here's what I would tell you. I would say, listen, if you took 677 trades and you're maintaining this accuracy with this profit loss ratio and you've got $63 of profit, I want to see you starting to scale up. Go from 10 shares to 50. Go from 50 to 100, from 100 to 200, and start increasing your share size a little bit each week. So you're conditioning yourself to the emotions that come with experiencing real losses and also having big winners, because that can also put you on sort of an emotional high where you get overconfident, and just slowly keep increasing share size, slow and steady. That is really the best way. Now, for those of you guys that want to watch me while I'm trading in real time, you can come on over to Warrior Trading and do a 2-week trial. We have that going on. So at any time, you can come over and do a 2-week trial. And during your trial, you'll be able to watch over my shoulder while I'm trading. You'll have access to the Day Trade Dash platform right here. So you'll be able to use the scanners and the charts, real-time market data. You'll be able to pick up the news feed right here. You'll be able to be in the chat room so you can see everyone else who's typing, and you can listen to my broadcast. And as part of the 2-week trial, you'll also have access to a selection of classes to help you get started. So I encourage you guys to do a 2-week trial. It's 2 weeks for $20. I think you'll really enjoy it. And it's 14 days. So whether you start today or you start on Monday, it wouldn't really matter. You'd still have the same number of market days during your trial. The only difference would be you'd have more time over the weekend if you wanted to watch some of those classes to help you get off to a good start. So anyways, I hope you do it. I hope you make the most of it. And I'll remind you guys, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical. So manage your risk, take it slow. And I'll see you guys. I'll be live streaming tomorrow morning for members at Warrior Trading, and then I'll upload my recap tomorrow. Now, by the way, I did take trades in the Thinkorswim Small Account Challenge yesterday and today. I have not uploaded them. Green days, though. Green day, day 8, green day today, day 9. So the account is growing. I'm going to do a combined recap where I'll combine probably 3 or 4 days into one recap, and that'll come soon. So if you're tuned in live, then you're able to see those trades in real time. But for everyone else, there'll be a recap coming soon. All right, thanks again as always, and I'll see you for the next upload real soon.